It's a cold, rainy night. The kind of night where you just want to go home, close the door, and forget the world outside. But for Jake, a father of two, there's no escaping tonight's reality. His last $20, the only cash he has, is all he's got left. Bills are stacking up, his kids are hungry, and all he can think about is how he's going to make it through the next day. He's on the edge. And then, as if fate had a hand in it, he spots her. A woman, cold, tired, and holding a sign that simply says, "Anything helps." No one else stops. But Jake, he can't help himself. He pulls out his last $20 and gives it to her. But little does he know, the woman he just helped isn't just anyone. She's about to turn his world upside down. What happens next will leave you speechless. You won't believe who she really is. Keep listening. Meet Jake, a father, a husband, a man who's trying, but never seems to get ahead. Life's been tough for him lately. Bills piling up, his kids hungry, and his own worry eating at him from the inside. Every day is a struggle. He wakes up with a pit in his stomach, wondering if today will be the day everything falls apart. Tonight is no different. It's late, the rain's coming down hard, and Jake's only got a few hours to figure out how to make it through. He pulls his jacket tighter, trying to block out the cold, but the weight of the world feels heavier than ever. He's walking home when, out of the corner of his eye, he sees her. A woman. She's older, with a tired face and weathered clothes. Her hand shakes slightly, holding a sign that simply says, "Anything helps." She's sitting on the sidewalk, her eyes empty, yet pleading. Jake's heart sinks. He's been there before. Desperate. Hopeless. No money. No way out. He can feel the pain in her eyes, a pain that's all too familiar. He's done everything right, tried everything he could, but the bills keep coming. The pressure keeps building. And here's this woman, out here in the rain, alone, just like he's felt so many times. Jake stops, looks down at her, and for a moment, everything else fades away. Her eyes meet his, and something shifts inside him. He doesn't know why, but something in him feels like he has to do something, anything. He's got just $20 left. His last $20. It should go to his family. But somehow, it feels like this moment is bigger than anything else. He takes the money from his pocket and hands it to her. She looks up at him, stunned. Her hands tremble as she takes the money. Her eyes soften with a hint of gratitude, but also something else, something Jake can't place. Maybe it's relief. Maybe it's something deeper. She says nothing, just nods, almost as if she knew he would stop. And then, as Jake turns to leave, something strange happens. A chill runs down his spine. It's not the cold rain. It's the feeling that somehow this moment is more important than he understands. What he doesn't know, what he could never guess, is that this one small act of kindness is about to change everything. For both of them, Jake doesn't realize it yet, but he just made a decision that will alter the course of his life forever. The woman he just helped is not who she seems. And soon, Jake will find out that sometimes a simple act of kindness can turn your world upside down. A voice suddenly calls out from behind him, "Jake, wait!" Without a second thought, Jake takes the money from his pocket and hands it to the woman. "Here, take it," he says, his voice steady but unsure. His heart beats a little faster as he watches her hands tremble when she takes the cash. There's something about her that pulls at him, but he can't explain it. It's just the way her eyes meet his. So tired, so full of unspoken pain. For a moment, he forgets about his own struggles. For a moment, he feels good. A small relief. Maybe this is the right thing. Maybe this one small act will change something. Maybe, just maybe, this will be the moment that turns everything around for him. As the woman clutches the $20 in her hands, she doesn't speak. Her lips tremble, and a tear slowly falls from the corner of her eye. Jake watches her closely. He feels something deep inside, a sense of gratitude he's never known. It's like a weight has been lifted off him, but as quickly as it came, the feeling disappears. He's still got bills to pay, his kids still need dinner. He can't afford to stop here. He looks at her one last time, his chest tight, and turns to walk away. For a second, he wonders if he's done enough. If this will be the moment he'll remember when his luck turns. But then, something strange happens. As Jake walks away, the rain now heavier. He can't shake the feeling that something's off. It's like a small voice inside his head is telling him to turn around. But he doesn't. He tells himself it's nothing. He's done his part. It's over. But that feeling lingers. A strange sensation that gnaws at the back of his mind. It's a feeling he can't ignore, no matter how hard he tries. And just when he thinks he's shaken off the unease, he hears it. A voice, soft but clear, calling his name. "Jake, wait!" He freezes. His heart skips a beat. He looks over his shoulder. There's no one there. Just the woman, sitting on the sidewalk, staring at him. Her gaze isn't desperate anymore. It's knowing, like she's waiting for something. Jake feels his stomach tighten. He takes a cautious step back towards her, unsure of what's happening. Something in his gut tells him this is not over. The woman looks up at him, her face now calm, almost serene. She speaks, but it's not what Jake expects. "I have something for you," she says, her voice steady and surprising. Jake's eyebrows furrow. He doesn't understand. What could she possibly have for him? She's the one asking for help, not the other way around. But before he can say anything, she reaches in her coat pocket and pulls out an envelope. She doesn't explain. She just hands it to him. And in that moment, everything changes. Jake takes the envelope, his fingers brushing against hers. It feels cold. He looks at it for a long moment, almost afraid to open it. Something in the way she's looking at him. It feels different now. There's a weight to it. He hesitates. But then, something tells him he has to see what's inside. He opens it slowly, his breath catching as he slides out a piece of paper. His eyes scan the words written on it. They don't make sense. At first, he thinks it's a joke. It's a letter, a simple letter. But the words, they're not just words. The letter reads, "You have been chosen." Chosen for what? He looks at the woman, his heart pounding. What could this possibly mean? He looks down at the paper again, and this time, the words hit him harder. "Meet me tomorrow. Your life is about to change forever." Jake stands frozen, his mind racing. He can't process it. How does she know him? Why did she give him this letter? Who is she? And why does he feel like everything he's ever known is about to be turned upside down? Days pass. Jake goes home that night, still trying to shake the feeling of the woman's eyes on him. Her gaze. It stays with him, haunts him. In fact, it feels like he's done something important, something bigger than just handing over a $20 bill. But at the same time, he can't quite place why it feels so significant. He tries to go about his daily life, pushing it aside, but the weight of that moment never quite leaves him. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees her. A feeling of unease lingers in the back of his mind. Maybe it's the rain, maybe it's the way she said nothing at all. But whatever it is, he can't get her out of his thoughts. Then, one night, as Jake sits on the couch, still troubled, his phone rings. It's an unknown number. He hesitates, but he answers it anyway. The voice on the other end is calm, businesslike, and it immediately chills him to the bone. "Mr. Jake Turner?" the voice asks. His throat tightens. "Yes," he replies, his voice trembling slightly. He's confused. Who could be calling him? "We have a message for you." The words feel heavy, as if they carry weight far beyond anything he could have prepared for. "The woman you helped, she's not just any woman." Jake's heart starts racing. "What do you mean?" he asks, trying to keep his voice steady. "She's someone who's watched you for years. And now, she's ready to change your life." Jake's stomach drops. His mind starts spinning. What? How could she know him? How could she have been watching him? His thoughts race, but the voice on the other end continues, ignoring his shock. "You don't understand yet, but you will soon." The line clicks and the call ends. Jake is left standing there, phone in hand, feeling more confused than ever. His pulse pounds in his ears. What in the world is going on? Who is that? And why does he feel like he's in the middle of something he's not ready for? Just as Jake is about to put the phone down, it buzzes again. A message. He opens it, his hands trembling. There's a photo. The woman. But this time it's not the same woman. It's the woman, yes, but she's not on the street corner, worn and desperate. No, she's well-dressed, poised, sitting in an office. Her posture is perfect, her eyes sharp and confident. The woman who had looked so fragile, so vulnerable, now exudes power. Jake's breath catches in his throat. What is happening? He stares at the picture, unable to blink. The woman, Catherine Caldwell, the name flashes below the photo. A CEO, a billionaire, and a philanthropist. Jake blinks several times, the words on the screen almost impossible to comprehend. This can't be real. The woman he helped, the one who seemed so lost, is a billionaire? A CEO? How is that even possible? Jake's mind races as he tries to connect the dots. There's no way this could be the same person. But there she is in the photo, smiling like she's in complete control of the world. His world. He's frozen. The room feels like it's closing in on him. What's going on? How could she be this person? Why would someone like her even need help? And why, after all this time, is she suddenly reaching out to him? His head spins. His thoughts are a blur, but one thing is clear. This is only the beginning. And somehow, everything he thought he knew about his life is about to shatter. But before Jake can even process the shock of the message, a new notification pops up. This time, it's a video message from Catherine Caldwell herself. The message is short. It's her face, the same calm expression. She says only one thing. It's time for you to meet me. Tomorrow? Jake's heart skips a beat. His palms sweat. What does she want from him? Why is she choosing him? And what happens next will change everything he thought he knew about his world. The days pass in a blur for Jake. He can't shake the feeling that his life is on the verge of something big, something he can't control. His phone still rings with unknown numbers, and every message seems to draw him deeper into the mystery. He wonders if he's losing his grip on reality. And then, one morning, an envelope arrives. It's thick, elegant, with a wax seal that looks far too important for someone like him. He opens it slowly, heart racing. Inside is an invitation. A grand invitation to a gala, an event that could only be described as otherworldly. He stares at it, trying to process what it says. We have been watching you, Jake. The words seem to pulse on the page. His breath catches. He reads them again. You are the kind of person we need. We want to help you. The sentence lingers in the air, echoing in his mind. He can't believe it. How? How could they possibly have been watching him? And who are we? His eyes scan the rest of the invitation, but all it says is the date, the time, and a simple address. But Jake already knows. This is from Catherine, from the woman on the street, the one who's been watching him for years. She wants something. But what is it? Jake feels his heart racing as he stares at the invitation in disbelief. It feels like his whole life is crumbling, but at the same time, it's rebuilding. Suddenly, he feels like he's been given a second chance. A chance to change everything. A chance to escape from the life that has held him back for so long. His mind is spinning. Could a simple act of kindness, handing over a $20 bill to a stranger, really have led him to this? Was that one decision the catalyst for everything that's happening now? Days go by, and Jake starts to notice something strange. Small changes. The world around him is shifting. Doors that were once closed begin to creak open. Opportunities flood in. The job he thought he could never get, it's his. The financial struggles that had haunted him for so long, they're slowly fading away. He's invited into a world that feels unreal. Luxury, wealth, privileges he never imagined. The kind of life that only existed in movies or dreams. He's flown to exclusive locations, treated like royalty, given everything he could possibly need. At first, it feels like a dream come true. But as the days go on, as the world of high society swallows him whole, Jake begins to feel something gnawing at him. He starts to notice the glances, the subtle whispers when people think he's not looking. There's something off about all of this. He's not sure what it is, but it's there. In every handshake, every glass of champagne, every invitation to a private meeting. People look at him differently now. They speak to him like he's one of them, but it doesn't feel right. There's a distance, a wall between him and the life he's now living. He feels like an outsider in a world that's supposed to be his new reality. What is the price of all this? What does Catherine really want from him? One night, at another gala, Jake stands on the balcony, looking out at the glittering lights of the city. Everything looks perfect, too perfect. He's sipping a drink, trying to enjoy himself, but a feeling of dread hangs over him. It's as though he's on the edge of something he can't quite grasp. He looks down at the invitation in his hand. That invitation, the one that started all of this. It's crumpled now, worn from too many nervous glances. He thought it would lead him to success, to a life of freedom. But instead, he feels trapped. Trapped in a life that isn't really his. A life built on someone else's terms. And the question haunts him. What will he have to give in return for everything he's been given? As he stands there, lost in his thoughts, the doors to the ballroom swing open, and Catherine walks in. She's dressed in a flawless black dress, her hair perfectly styled. She walks towards Jake with a smile, but there's something in her eyes. A coldness that wasn't there before. She looks at him, and for the first time, Jake feels a chill. She stops in front of him, her smile widening, and says, "You've done well, Jake. You fit in perfectly. Now it's time to take the next step." Jake's pulse quickens. He's not sure he wants to take the next step anymore. He's not sure he's ready for what comes next. And just as he opens his mouth to speak, Catherine leans in close, her voice a whisper. The real question is, are you ready to give up everything to keep this life? And just like that, the world shifts once more. Months pass, and Jake's life is almost unrecognizable now. The man who once barely scraped by is now thriving. His debts? Gone. His family? In a beautiful new home, a far cry from the cramped, cold apartment they used to live in. He has everything he could have ever wanted, the job, the car, the respect. People look at him differently now. He feels like he's finally stepped into a version of himself he's always dreamed of. But there's a nagging feeling at the back of his mind. A feeling he can't shake. A feeling that something is missing. It starts with a phone call. A voice, calm and poised, tells Jake that he's been invited to a private meeting with Catherine, the woman whose kindness, or maybe magic, changed his entire world. Jake doesn't hesitate. His curiosity outweighs everything else. He agrees to meet her, unsure of what to expect, but certain that this meeting will answer the questions that have been haunting him. What does she want from him now? And why, after everything, does he still feel like he's part of something much bigger than himself? The day arrives, and Jake walks into the office, his footsteps echoing in the grand hallway. Catherine is waiting for him. She's sitting behind a large desk, her posture perfect, her expression unreadable. The room feels cold, despite the warmth of the lights. She doesn't speak right away. She just watches him, her eyes locking onto his like they've known each other for years. Finally, she breaks the silence. "Jake," she says softly, her voice almost soothing. "The money you gave me that night, it wasn't just a gift." Jake's heart skips a beat. He didn't expect this. The words hit him like a wave, and his mind races for answers. "What do you mean?" he asks, his voice barely above a whisper. "It was a test," she continues, her tone calm, measured. The weight of those words settles over him. A test? Jake's confusion deepens. What was she talking about? Catherine leans forward, her gaze never leaving him. "You see, Jake, I've been looking for someone like you for years," she says, her words slow but deliberate. "Someone with a heart big enough to make a difference in a world that has lost its way. I wasn't just homeless that night. I was watching you. Watching to see if you could pass the test." Jake's mind is spinning. Watching him? How could she have known? How could she have been testing him? It doesn't make sense. His thoughts are a whirlwind. But as he looks at Catherine, something clicks. The pieces start to fall into place, though he can't believe it. Everything, the invitation, the money, the gala, the opportunities, the changes in his life, it was all leading to this moment. But even then, he's still not sure he understands. What kind of test was this? And what did she mean by someone like him? Catherine watches him closely, as if she knows what he's thinking. "Jake," she says again, but this time her voice is filled with something else, something deeper. The test wasn't about giving $20 to a homeless woman. It was never about the money. It was about something more important. She leans in closer, her words cutting through the air like a blade. "It was about giving hope, Jake. About making the choice to help someone when no one else would. About showing the world that kindness still has a place in it. That's the kind of person I was looking for." In that moment, Jake realizes something he never expected to understand. His life, Everything he thought it was about, everything he thought he wanted was never about the money. It was never about the riches or the privilege that had come his way. It wasn't even about escaping his old life. No, it was about who he was at his core. Catherine didn't just change his world. She gave him something far more valuable. A purpose. A purpose that transcends wealth, status, or anything he could ever touch with money. It was about his heart, his decision to give, to help someone, even when it seemed like he had nothing left to give. As Jake sits there trying to grasp what's happening, the realization sinks in deeper. It's not the money, it's not the fame, it's not the new life he has that matters. It's about the hope he gave. That was the real test. He wasn't just passing a test to join an elite world. No, he was passing a test to become someone who could truly make a difference. Someone who could inspire others to believe that kindness still has power in a world that seems to have forgotten it. Jake's eyes well up with tears, and he realizes something else too. He may have changed his circumstances, but the biggest change was in his heart. The woman he helped that night, the woman who had watched him, the woman who had orchestrated everything, hadn't just given him wealth. She'd given him something more profound. A chance to become the kind of man who could change the world. A chance to leave a legacy. A chance to be the hope in someone else's life. But as Jake looks at Catherine, as he feels the weight of everything she's just told him, one question lingers in the air. What happens now, Catherine? What could possibly come next for a man whose life has already been turned upside down? And what will it cost him to keep the hope alive? Jake's life will never be the same again. He's changed. He's seen the power of his actions ripple through his world in ways he never expected. The man who once struggled to make ends meet is now living a life he never imagined possible. But the question lingers. What about you? If you were in Jake's shoes that night, standing on the street corner with your last $20 in your pocket, what would you have done? Would you have trusted your heart over your wallet? Would you have made the same choice to give that money, knowing that your family needed it, knowing you were at your breaking point? The decision seems so small, but in truth, it's the smallest choices, the moments that seem insignificant, that sometimes shape our futures in the most unexpected ways. We often think it's the big things that change us, but sometimes it's a simple act of kindness that ripples through the universe, reaching hearts we can't even see, changing lives in ways we may never fully understand. So, where are you watching from? Are you sitting at home, perhaps at your kitchen table, or are you on your phone, waiting for the next chapter in your life to unfold? Do you believe deep down that kindness truly has the power to change lives? Or do you think it's just a story we tell ourselves to feel better? Can a single act of generosity really make a difference? Or is it all just wishful thinking? We want to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Has a small act of kindness ever changed your life? Or maybe you've been the one to make a difference for someone else. Let us know. Share your story with us. And if this story moved you, if it reminded you of the power of a simple gesture, the impact of caring for others, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need to hear this reminder. Sometimes, the right choice isn't the easiest one. It's the one that makes the heart leap. Thank you for watching. And remember, you never know when the next small choice you make might change the course of someone's life, just like it changed Jake's. Until next time, do you think Jake would have acted the same if he knew who she really was? What would you have done in his place? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had a moment in life where a small gesture changed everything? Tell us your story in the comments.